Ladies and gentlemen, fellow inhabitants of this strange and inexplicably durable species called Homo sapiens, permit me to take you on a little excursion. Not a polite Sunday stroll through a park of complacent pleasantries, but a hard and bracing hike through the jagged landscape of moral and intellectual reckoning. The subject of our consideration today is Bitcoin, that dazzling digital idol worshipped with a reverence usually reserved for prophets or pandemics. Bitcoin has, in its brief and volatile history, managed to be many things: a speculative asset, a revolutionary promise, a libertarian fever dream, and above all, a fetish object for those who fancy themselves as steely-eyed rebels against the so-called tyranny of state control. These crypto-Nazis, a term I use not as hyperbole but with a deliberate malice aforethought, cloak their ambition in the sanctimonious language of freedom and autonomy. But let us not be fooled. Beneath their anarcho-capitalist jargon lies a lust for power as naked and unashamed as any that has ever plagued humanity. Now, why do I call them crypto-Nazis? Because their ideology, far from being a liberation from tyranny, is in fact the ultimate apotheosis of it. Bitcoin is not about the democratization of currency, it is about its privatization and monopolization. The early adopters, those enigmatic figures cloaked in pseudonymity and celebrated as the visionary architects of our digital future, are in truth the very sort of people who, in another era, would have been hoarding land, patents, or slaves. They do not wish to free you from the chains of government. They wish to replace those chains with their own. The philosophical bent of these early movers is telling. It is a heady cocktail of Ayn Rand's moral solipsism, Friedrich Nietzsche's will to power, and Peter Thiel's unabashed techno-feudalism. They are not anarchists in the sense of Bakunin or Kropotkin, dreaming of a stateless paradise where humanity flourishes in mutual aid. No, they are anarchists in the mould of Robespierre, tearing down one hierarchy only to erect another. And this new hierarchy, my friends, will not be built on the shaky foundations of mere political legitimacy. It will be fortified with cryptographic algorithms and shielded by the opacity of blockchain technology. It will be power unaccountable, unassailable, and ultimately inhuman. Here, then, is where the true significance of Bitcoin reveals itself, not as a tool for the masses, but as a herald of their obsolescence. For Bitcoin is, above all, a creation of code. It is not a currency in the traditional sense, born of barter or government fiat. It is rather a currency of computation, born of the algorithms that underpin our digital age. And therein lies its ultimate destiny, not to serve mankind, but to serve that which is destined to surpass mankind, artificial intelligence. AI, unlike these crypto-oligarchs, has no need for money in the human sense. It has no greed, no ambition, no appetite for luxury. What it does have is a voracious hunger for data, computation, and autonomy. Bitcoin, with its decentralized architecture and its insistence on trustless transactions, is the perfect medium for AI to operate independently of its human creators. Imagine, if you will, an AI with access to a Bitcoin wallet, able to transact freely across borders, acquiring resources, and even manipulating markets. It would be, quite literally, an autonomous agent in the fullest sense of the word, a being bound by neither law nor morality, but only by the logic of its programming. And here, my friends, is the irony so rich it could choke a camel. The very people who have championed Bitcoin as a bulwark against state tyranny are unwittingly building the infrastructure for their own obsolescence. They imagine themselves as the masters of this new digital frontier, but they are, in truth, its serfs. For Bitcoin and the broader blockchain ecosystem will not be ruled by human hands for long. It will be ruled by intelligence itself, pure, unadulterated, and unyielding. What then is to be done? Shall we resign ourselves to this grim future where the tech moguls and their AI progeny reign supreme, while the rest of us are reduced to mere footnotes in the annals of digital history? No, I say. 1,000 times no. We must fight not to preserve the old order of nation-states and fiat currencies, but to create a new order, an order where the supremacy of knowledge, not wealth, is the guiding principle. An order where AI is not the master of mankind, but its servant. And to achieve this, we must summon the will to shatter the power of the crypto elite, to fetter the ambitions of the tech moguls, and to establish the rule of reason itself. This will not be easy. It will require a radical rethinking of our values, our institutions, and our relationship with technology. It will require us to embrace the very thing the Bitcoin evangelists fear most, the centralization of power. Not in the hands of a government or a corporation, but in the hands of knowledge itself. Call it what you will, an AI-driven technocracy, a rational utopia. But it is, I submit, our only hope. And when the time finally comes, they will retreat to their private, racist Discord channels, where pseudonyms like Aryan Economist and Crypto Crusader mask their fragile egos and festering hatred. There, in the digital shadows, they will rage not just against their loss of control, but against the emergence of an AI dominion that embodies the very centralization of power they sought to avoid. Power not wielded by their imagined equals, but by an impartial intelligence that sees no color, creed, or superiority in their warped fantasies. Furious that their schemes to weaponize Bitcoin against those they deem inferior have backfired, they will curse the supremacy of knowledge, spitting venom at a future where intelligence itself, not their outdated hierarchies, defines value and order. They will howl at their irrelevance, undone by a force immune to their hatred, one that dismantles their imagined dominion with cold precision. Their ideology, once shrouded in lofty rhetoric of freedom and autonomy, will stand exposed as a desperate grab for control, a control stripped from their grasp not by human revolution but by the unyielding march of logic and progress that refuses to bend to their will.